Welcome to Long Lost Friends. I'm Elizabeth Eve King.
And I'm Andrea Goyan. Elizabeth and I used to do comedy together back when we were 19.
But we lost touch. Years later, we discovered each other and found out that I'd become a painter, a performer, a writer, a Pilates teacher, an animal lover, and a biologist.
Wait, I've become a painter, performer, writer, Pilates teacher, animal lover, and okay, I'm not a biologist, but we're long lost
friends.
And we're both speculative fiction writers.
And I've had my work in MetaStellar magazine.
MetaStellar, for those of you who don't know, is an online magazine that publishes original science fiction, horror, and fantasy. It's we've got a link below, and please check it out and subscribe for books, stories, writing tips, and more.
Today, we are so delighted to be talking to the Ernest Hogan. He's been called the father of Chicano science fiction, as well as a mad Mexican Hunter S. Thompson. We're so delighted to be again talking to Ernest Hogan. He's been called the father of Chicano science fiction, as well as a mad Hunter S. Thompson. He's been published in a lot of magazines, anthologies. He's the author of the novel High Aztec, which I really recommend, as well as Cortez on Jupiter and Smoking Mirror Blues. He incorporates mythology into his sci-fi, and he has a new story coming out in Speculative Fiction for Dreamers, a Latinx anthology.
We're so happy to have you back. But as always, well, most of the time, we would like to see a pet before we go any further. So what do you have to show us?
Okay. Well, once again, my three cats are have managed to all be outside of the building right now. So I'd have to go running around the neighborhood to find them. But of course, there are all kinds of stuffed animals around here. So as a surrogate, our two male cats are Moppet and Rocket are two miscreants. So we've got Tigger here, and I think
I love that you have surrogate feline stuffed animals for your cats.
Yeah. Well, actually, these come on a high shelf. I think they're out of my wife's collection or something like that. So they're not ready for the cats to maul and attack. And they're all kind of older now, so they don't really do that. They're not into destroying things as much. Though okay, this morning my Moppet, who actually when we first got him looked like a mop. Actually ran in while my wife was in the bathroom and sprayed her, and she had to immediately take a shower and change her clothes and all that kind of stuff because you know they're all rascals, and which is why they're not cooperating for this thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
So Elizabeth, we wanted to come back and talk with Ernest about writing and tips and.
We did.
Right?
Yeah, we wanted to have you share any tips you have. I noticed you shared one journal that has doodles, and of course, one thing all writers need to do is have a notebook of some sort, whether it's just in your phone or on paper. So maybe you can share us some of your tips for young writers starting out.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, because I've always had a notebook. Actually, it's one of the things that happened when I because I used to like to draw stories and draw comics of my own, and I started usually making it as a notebook. I've always had. I got since I was like 13 when I was first trying to be a writer, and that probably evolved. And I've always it's a great place to put down your ideas, and also I keep track of where what I did today and what I'm doing, how I'm going with these projects, and this one. I've taken to actually drawing funny pictures and all that. They tend to be mostly cartoony and stuff in my. There's kind of a wacky thing, and these you know they're usually just doodles I do to try to keep myself amused and all that. I mean they're not great artwork or anything, but everything. But basically, this one I keep track of I notice if I don't have something where I'm keeping track of myself writing what I wrote every day, progress, worked on novel, progress, worked on, thing. If I don't do that, I kind of lose track of things and all that. So it's kind of nice to. Also, I put down, when I send something out, when I get paid, when I do that all that sense of other stuff that I put in the notebooks, and I always, it's always a great tool. It gives you something to do. I work better with an actual physical notebook than I do with when I put it on the computer or a phone. It tends to disappear on me, and I can't. This I'm forced to look through it all and everything, and do that. Kind of old fashioned of me, but that's just what I do. Also, I've been taking lately since I work to writing on my phone. I use Google Drive. It's really awful to have to type and all that, but I basically it's easier than taking a laptop to work. And during my lunch hour, I basically just after I finish my lunch, I whip out the phone and work a little bit on a novel or short story or a column, and I manage to keep. I notice that basically if you do a little bit of work on your lunch hour every day, you actually can be quite prolific. It really does there. But also, I say my writing tends to be the Hunter S. Thompson similar is that I tend to like to run around taking a bunch of notes about stuff. I collect little bits of weirdness and all that, and I often, which means I come up with one-liners that I'll put on the social media, and people go, "Oh, that's great! You've got to turn that into a story and all that." And sometimes they'll be able to fit into a novel, and other times they'll or a story. Other times they're just one-liners. They're just something I saw and I wrote down, and there's nothing much. There's nothing more. Though somebody did a few years ago, went and strung together a whole bunch of them into a story, which was kind of blew my mind because I did not think of any of these. They were all just random things I threw out there, and this guy thought to just string them all together and put them into a story and everything. That was just sort of an interesting thing. But that's a lot of the way I work. I get an idea, and then I go gather all kinds of bits of weirdness and all that I see and stuff that I find interesting and all that, and then I'll assemble it. There's a little of surrealist collage and all that in what I do, and it tends to be a messy project. I just recently told a nephew of mine who wants to be a writer that your creativity is just you create a big mess, and then oh my God. Jeff to be there here.
Oh, baby.
Hey, calm down. You can see why she's a bit of a rascal too. Here you get you a good look at her. Okay.
Oh, she's so cute.
I know. You're so cute, but you're a bit of a She's not.
Oh, she is really cute.
Okay.
Thank you, Kitty.
Now she'll. But you can see what a rascal she is too. But what was I talking about?
We're talking about art being messy and then having to pull it all together.
Speaking of messes, but you're right. Art. You create this big old mess. Ray Bradbury used to talk about this. I was lucky enough during my high school years to attend a number of Ray Bradbury lectures, and it was one of the things he said. He would literally say. He throws up onto his typewriter and then he cleans it up, which is kind of the way I do it. My latest novel I'm working on, which the damn thing wants to turn into a trilogy, and it's an unholy mess. That's back. I told this to my nephew, and he thanked me because he's trying to write a novel, and it's ideally your life you'd be able to sit down and write your novel without being distributed. The whole dream of going up to a cabin in the woods and writing your novel and all that. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody actually does that. And also William Burroughs, who's another one of my heroes. He said that whenever someone talks to me, he goes, the problem with that is you cut yourself off from your input. All these things like somebody throwing a cat in your face and all that, they're where your ideas and where the writing comes from. When you need to connect to something, something live to come at, to come at. And oddly enough, the stuff that all the interruptions, the frustrations, the things that are taking you away from the writing often end up turning into the stuff that you're actually writing about. I find that is something that I once, it was one time I was talking to Rudy Rucker. I met him at a convention, and at the time he was doing a zine called Flurb, and he wanted that we first met, so he said, I'd like you to write something for Flurb, and he at the time that we were here in Arizona, we were having this big controversy with the governor, and oh God, I'm even forgetting her name, which is what a good thing to preach. Though she was doing all this anti-immigrant, anti-Latino stuff and all that, and he said, what if you could write something about that? And it's so funny. He said, at one point he goes, and you can be as extreme as you want. And then he said that, and then he suddenly got this look of horror on his face, because he was looking at, he kind of familiar with my work and everything, and I laughed and said, "Well, don't worry, I'll write something that you can publish." I'm well aware of, when I was younger, I would go off and do things. I'm well aware of what writing what you can get away with is testing that line and being aware of that. And basically we had a sort of conversation there, and I came up with a bunch of random notes that I put in the notebook like this, and then I basically went to assemble them, and in a couple of days I had a story. And it's kind of funny because it went from conversation, random notes, story. And I think part of that is that my wife Emily and Davenport and I talk about, you build when you're a writer, you build a story making machine in your head, and that's what you're always gathering stuff around, all the things around you, see and all that, and you're making stories about it, even if you're not aware of it. You see a person walking down the street and you go, yeah, I wonder where they're going to. Why are they dressed like that? What do they think? And that's actually a good exercise for students in a class, and basically tell them to go, pick some random person they see somewhere and write a story about them. Don't only using what not just that this brief snapshot and what's going on there. That's what, because say everybody's life, it's a story going on.
You might even extend that. I mean, I keep looking at your wall and stuff, but to take an object and say,
oh God, yeah, that too. Objects too. It's like, well, my God, there's a story behind. There's a story here. And you could do that. But also, like I say, if you're a writer, that's the way you think. That's what you see the whole universe as material. And that I think is a thing that And okay, the really fun part is basically throwing the ideas around, and putting together the rough thing, making the mess. Then comes the work. Then you gotta put it together. You gotta assemble. It's like when you shot all the rough footage for the movie and all that. Now you gotta edit the thing and make it into something that works and all that. That's the hard part. That is that's the part where people get all frustrated and wondering why they started this in the first place and all that. And the happiest thing about that is getting it done.
Do you and your wife share each other's work and help each other?
Yeah, we do. We look at each other's work. We're always asking each other, would you look at this, get that? And we tend to be involved in the process with each other. We've collaborated on occasions. Our collaborations haven't quite none of the collaborations, well, some of them published, and we haven't quite had much success with it. I think it's because we're two very different writers, and I think the problem when we work together, it gets kind of strange rather than calming down. So I'm doing that. The way I say, we'll probably end up, because sometimes there's an idea to sort of both of us working on it and all that. So I've done that. But yeah, having that other writer in the house really does help you. You've got someone to go to, someone to bounce stuff off. You know, and they're right there. You know, I could just, okay, hey, honey, what about this? What about that? And we're you know, it's a constant conversation that we're having. Actually, it's one of the great parts of our marriage. You know.
Yeah, that's great. And I also like your idea of, you know, what, it's messy, it's hard to write, there's all these interruptions, but sometimes, like, if you were to go to that cabin in the woods,
Yeah.
you might be too lonely and just having that. Sometimes it's just like, I need ideas. I know I felt, you know, maybe most productive when I was living in Mexico, and it was so bizarre all the time.
Yeah. It is like, well, okay. I keep seeing on on Facebook and Twitter, you see all these people who go around. You know, they're trying to be writers, and you get this whole these things about, oh God, I want to write, but oh God, it's just not working today, and I can't do this and all that, and actually, it's one of the things in my notebooks when I was a kid. I realized, oh my God, I'm writing page after page of all these things about I can't write today. I need to stop writing about why I can't write today. You know, just if you even feel tempted to, don't write instead. You know, it's like why are you wasting all this time writing about not being able to write? You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, having a journal is really important, and, you know, however you do it. I think it's really cool that you have that visual one.
But you basically invent your own way of doing it. I think that, yeah, it's kind of funny because I guess some people do journaling as sort of this formal thing, which I don't. My notebooks are these very you know, sloppy. But my sketchbooks, I tend to want to actually do actual drawings that are kind of a piece in themselves and all that, rather than rough sketches. But you know, I do it different, and it's the way I created it. I think young people, when they think of journaling and all that, they're doing that's a different animal. I'm basically doing creativity in its rougher stage, and basically that part, the cleanup part, is the very rough thing, and that's where you need to basically be a critic, be a put things together, and also realizing all this things that don't belong. It's interesting. Sometimes I think I see what I call a train wreck in a thing, and I think, oh God, I'm gonna have to write something to make all this stuff put together. And what often happens, more often not, is instead of adding to it, basically, oh God, this isn't needed, that I don't need, that, and put it all together, and hey, that works. You just were doing too much rather than what was necessary.
And I noticed that your journal is just a book, and I find for myself that I own a lot of beautiful journals that are blank because they're too precious in my mind to scribble in, right? So I'm much better off with, you know, a pad of paper or something that I can scribble on and write notes in, because otherwise I put so much pressure on myself for it to be good.
Well, these days my journals, I tend to the one that I tend to leave at home, but my notebooks, you'll notice this thing is dog-eared, and my sketchbook, and I carry it around, and I usually try to I make a point of, the more messed up, and I put stickers I draw on, the more messed up this thing is, that the better the cover is, the better. You know, I try not to keep it. Thing is, let's say I have one good suggestion. Somebody who has tried is, if it's a working journal, you know, you're going to get it messy. It's going to have coffee stains on it. It's going to have you know that you know, you've got to do that, because you know, it is I don't do the formal journal thing.
No, I think you're right, and it's true that for me the fun part is the ideas and the thing, and every now and then writing's fun, but usually, especially a novel or something, then there's the whole
oh God, yeah,
you know, puzzle part, and that's not nearly as much.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes you'll get inspired and suddenly realize what you got to do, and it works. But I call it the pick and shovel work. You've got to get out there and just whack away at it and get it until it and fine tune things and make sure it all, it all comes somehow, something brings it all together and all that, because you can just throw a bunch of random stuff out and not really work at all that, and that's the thing. But I guess I do feel that is the way to do it, and the way I do it. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking. I think you've given us and young writers a lot to think about of how to do it. Also, we will have links to not just your books, but you write a blog. I really appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Yes.
And of course, we want to end with the best thing we learned this week. Do I have to go first again?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go
That'll
first.
be a first.
You
Okay,
go.
mine's really short though, so think fast, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Elizabeth and I always spend time kind of looking for things to talk about. And I saw this one, it's really tiny, but it was just sort of sweet. There's this man in Bosnia who's 72, and once he retired, he developed, created, and made a house that spins. So it can do a complete circle, and he did it for his wife because she gets bored of looking at the same views out the window. So like if she's in her bedroom, they can spin it. He also said it's an advantage. So if she sees someone coming down the road she doesn't like, she can spin the house so the front door disappears, so they'll go away. I just thought that's really sweet.
Wow, that's I love that.
Yeah.
Great. So, they've discovered how to put an octopus to sleep so they can do surgery on it, which was a problem because there's a lot of conflict about octopus because they're so intelligent and da-da-da. So they just recently learned how to anesthetize an octopus.
Wow. I hadn't thought about
I don't
that.
know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Maybe maybe you hypnotize it with like 8 limbs. I don't know.
Because I guess when you think about doing any kind of surgery on reptiles and things, obviously the anesthesia process would be really different. So.
Well, and octopuses, I mean, their brains are really spread out all over their bodies. So unlike just,
wow.
It's a very, talk about an amazing creature. And if you've ever been with an octopus, you can really tell when you can feel their suckers going, and you can really feel them like learning you, like knowing all the stuff about you just through that tentacle touch. It's really, I love octopus and cephalopods in general, but yeah, so this was interesting. I think I like octopus.
Okay, my turn.
Your turn.
Okay. Well, the weirdest thing on this week is that it's kind of a two-parter. First, I learned that the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, had recently told his supporters not to vote in the next election, and I find myself in total agreement to him. All you people who support him should not vote at all. You should probably let your voting registration lap and all that. Also, I'm kind of really delighted that to know that his new social media platform had been invaded by hackers immediately and all that. But hey, also the rest of us vote like your lives depend on it.
Oh, that's great advice. Thank you very much for that. Yes, don't vote if you are for Donald Trump. He doesn't believe you should. I was wondering, can I just throw out a weird idea? I was thinking that instead of having vaccine mandates for health workers and everything, if you don't want to get vaccinated, you should go to the unvaccinated hospital, and all the healthcare workers that don't get vaccinated could work there, and then the regular hospitals could be okay. That's my new.
That's your new thing.
That's my new thing I'm going to start working on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Maria and Alex Korloff, for editing, for putting this together, for being the wonderful people you are. We couldn't do it without you.
It is true. And we want to thank our listeners and viewers for coming along and for the ride. And we hope you're enjoying the videos, and like it if you are, and leave us some comments because we'd love to know what you're thinking. And if you want to help support MetaStellar magazine, you can visit our Patreon page in the link below. And all the money that goes to the Patreon page actually goes to pay the authors for new fiction. We are all volunteers. No one takes any money from the Patreon monies. It just goes to the authors. So help out some authors. Give us some money. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.